What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel. If you guys are new, welcome. I hope the day is treating you guys fantastic and the new year is off to a bang. I know the channel has been popping off lately. We got lots of content coming out in the future here. Only 7 weeks left until Witch Queen, and I cannot wait. We have so much to go over when that comes out. Lots of changes coming to the game. It's basically going to be like Destiny 3, so I am pumped to bring that to you. All that content, help you Guardians out, because that's what I'm here for, is definitely to help out the community and help out fellow Guardians with the game. So let's get into today's video, going over another solo lost sector for you guys, the Chamber of Starlight on the Dreaming City. So as you can see right here, the Chamber of Starlight, we're dealing with Overload champions and Unstoppable champions. We also have a solar burn within the lost sector, so incoming and outgoing damage will be more for the solar. And then also we have to deal with solar shields and void, mostly void shields. I think there's only 2 solar shields within this area, so it's really not that bad to deal with. So just like always, we're going to go over the loadout for the weapons. That will be the same on all 3 of your characters, and then we're going to go over the super and the exotic specifically for our Hunter, Titan, and Warlock. So to start out right here, we're going with our Biting Winds primary bow, just because this thing is in the kinetic slot and can deal with our Overload champions. I absolutely love this thing. Almost got 4K kills on it. Great PvE weapon. Next right here, I'm going with my Glacial Chasm that has Subsistence Reservoir Burst on it, just because that Reservoir Burst is giving us some extra damage on people when it's procced, and there are way more Void Shields like I said, so this one is super great to kill those Acolytes with the Void Shield, because of that Reservoir Burst will proc when you have that full magazine, and it'll do that AoE damage, destroying the other Void Shields around it. Finally, for heavy, I couldn't really decide because I know not everybody has some of these weapons, so everything that I have in my inventory right now is very viable. I personally went with Sleeper for one run. It did pretty well, obviously, with Particle Deconstruction, because it absolutely eats, as well as 1K Voices with that Particle Deconstruction, absolutely eats. I did go through one with Gjallarhorn as well, and it did do very, very well in this lost sector. Didn't have the stunning capability of like the Sleeper or the 1K, but it did way more than enough damage on our champions and our boss for sure. Didn't go through a run with the Ascendancy just because I figured it wasn't going to be nearly enough compared to the Gjallarhorn. And then this one right here, the Corsair's Wraith, this one's super nice to get for those Wrathborn hunts, just because it's solar, everyone can get it, and you don't have to worry about going into a raid, anything like that, dungeon to get some of these weapons. So this one right here is super nice to have as a backup if you don't have Sleeper, which I would suggest to go in with either Sleeper, 1K, or Gjallarhorn for sure. Moving on to our Hunter loadout right here, we're going to go Top Tree Night Stalker, so we have that tether, we can dodge to go invisible, pairing that with Orpheus Rigs just because the tether lasts a little bit longer, and then just it gives you back so much energy when you get kills with the tether and that explosion from it. As always, we got our Charge with Light mods and our Linear Fusion Rifle Scavengers for this, along with our champion mods, Unstoppable Fusion and Overload Bow, with our Protective Light just so we can stay alive, pairing that as well with just more Charge with Light and Taking Charge mods. For our Titan here, I'm actually going to go with Bottom Tree Sentinel, pairing that with Doomfang Palindromes, just because you can have those double shields throwing, and then there's so many Void Shields in here compared to Solar, like I said, that if you pop this, you can pretty much clear out all the Void Shields within the Lost Sector by getting it back via Doomfang Palindrome mixed with Bottom Tree Sentinel. And then all of our other mods will be the same. We will have Protective Light, Particle Deconstruction, Taking Charged, and then Charged Up just to hold those charges, along with our Overload and Unstoppable right here, using the same weapons in Biting Wind, Glacial Chasm, and Sleeper Stimulant. Finally, for our Warlock, we're actually going to go with Bottom Tree Voidwalker, so we can have that Devour perk where we can eat our grenades and get our health back, and then continuous kills after that keep giving us health, Pairing that with Eyes of Another World so we can have that buff on ability regeneration, being able to eat our grenades more often and be able to pop our rifts to stay alive. Then as always, we got our protective light mods on with our overload champions and unstoppable, along with our typical taking charge, charged up, and particle deconstruction right here. Same thing, biting wind, glacial chasm, and sleeper stimulant. Those are definitely what I suggest super wise. Go void supers with a solar heavy, just because there's only 2 solar shields within there, I believe, and then the rest are going to be void and champions, so it's much better to have that void super. Now we'll get into the little walkthrough of the lost sector. So when you first load in, you will have to deal with an unstoppable champion when you first come around the corner, but first, before you deal with that, there is actually a hobgoblin sniper up on a balcony. I would deal with that first with your bow and then worry about the unstoppable champion, because the unstoppable champion won't push you right away until you get a little bit closer to it. Once you start getting closer, lead it out, stun it, and then just demolish it with your sleeper. For this lost sector, there's really only 2 rooms. This first one right here that we're in with the cavern and all of the void shields, as well as we will have a solar knight within here to take care of, and another overload going up towards the next room. So deal with the overload if you can as soon as you can, because those sniper shots will absolutely do some damage, as well as that knight with the solar shield. That flames that it throws out absolutely eats a guardian's health up, but then you just use your glacial chasm on all of those acolytes that have this void shields on them. With that reservoir burst, you can just destroy the lot of them in a couple shots. Super easy little first area to take care of. Only takes about a minute and a half to get through this part, and then we're actually in the boss room. So there's going to be a couple different waves of enemies that spawn. We're going to have some unstoppable champions along with those acolytes, as well as some thrall at first, with a couple goblins that are using that suck ability to make a solar knight immune. So make sure you deal with those goblins and that solar dude as soon as you can. Next, within this boss room, I would definitely deal with the acolytes and the unstoppable champions, because they do kind of push in weird situations all of a sudden. So I would deal with those next. Plus, when you do actually end up shooting and destroying the overload champion that is at the back of the lost sector up on the balcony right there, when you actually destroy that overload hobgoblin, the actual boss will spawn, which is a void shield witch that you have to take care of. That's why we got our void supers. And then there will be 2 more unstoppables that spawn with a bunch of thrall. So make sure when you're destroying that first overload champion in the boss room up on that balcony, that when you do it, you make sure you get back fast, kind of where we came up from that first area, because there will be a lot of things that spawn basically right in that entrance area, and you got to get around it because it will hit super hard. Now, after you deal with that first overload up on that balcony and that next wave spawns with the boss, you just got to worry about destroying the boss, those 2 unstoppable champions, some acolytes, and then there will be another overload that spawns on that balcony again for a second one. So just deal with whatever is left in the room ad-wise. Definitely suggest trying to deal with those unstoppable champions because they are super heavy hitting. Deal with the acolytes. Finally, deal with that overload champion, and then when it's just the boss left, you can absolutely rail it with either your super, break the shield with your glacial chasm, and then use sleeper to just destroy it. This lost sector is pretty fast and pretty easy, especially for a master one. Like I said, the mood ones are definitely the hardest one. This one right here is a super fun one to go through and get that exotic loot fast when you're going through it solo. So hopefully this helped you guys out. Grab that solo loot, get this lost sector done, get some of those triumphs done. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.